You have to hear this. A former atheist and arts professor says that he went to hell and came back. While on an art tour in France, Howard Storm was in his hotel room with his wife when all of a sudden he screamed in agony and fell to the floor. He thought that he had been shot. He was rushed to the hospital and examined by the doctors. It turned out he had a perforation of the small stomach. His intestinal contents were leaking into his abdominal cavity, which would soon lead to peritonitis, septic shock, and certain death. The doctors told him that if he didn't have surgery within the hour, he would probably die. He was sent to a surgical hospital, but unfortunately, there were no surgeons available. After waiting for 10 hours in excruciating pain, he finally said goodbye to his family members and lost consciousness. And this is when things got strange. After losing consciousness, Howard had an out-of-body experience. He found himself standing next to his bed and looking at himself lying in his bed. He noticed that the pain in his stomach was gone, but even so, he was disturbed by the situation. He tried to talk to his wife and another man in the room, but they didn't respond. Then, all of a sudden, Howard heard voices outside of the room calling him by name. They spoke English without a French accent, which was strange because everyone in the hospital spoke either French or heavily accented English. "Come with us," they said. "Hurry up, let's go." Howard went to the doorway. "Are you from the doctor?" he asked. Howard told them that he needed surgery. "We know all about you," one said. "It's time for you to go. Hurry up." Howard left the room and began to follow them down a dark hallway. The hallway got increasingly darker as he went. "Where are we going?" Howard asked. "How come it's taking so long? What is the doctor's name?" "Shut up," one said. "Be quiet," another one said. "Don't ask questions." As Howard lost trust in his guides, his fear and apprehension grew. He finally said, "I'm not going any farther. I want to go back." "You're almost there," one replied. Howard dug in his heels. "I'm not going any farther," he said. At this point, the guides began to pull and push him. Howard fought back and then they attacked him. They began biting and tearing his flesh apart. He said that they also did other things to him to humiliate and violate him that he doesn't want to talk about. As Howard found himself torn apart and lying on the floor of this dark hallway, he heard a voice that told him to pray. He thought to himself, "I don't pray. I don't even believe in God." Then he heard the voice again. He remembered bits and pieces of prayers that he learned in Sunday school, such as the Lord's Prayer. He began praying with all his might, and then he noticed something strange. As he began praying, his guides became enraged and started backing away from him, as if they were terrified. They began shouting obscenities and started saying, "God is not real, no one can hear you." Howard ignored them and kept praying as it was working. Howard began reviewing his life as he laid there and realized that he hadn't lived a very good one. He began reflecting on all of his sins. He realized where he had ended up. He decided to cry out for help. He shouted, "Jesus, please save me." All of a sudden, he saw a bright light appear, and in this light was Jesus. Jesus picked up Howard and carried him out of there. Jesus told Howard that he had angels that would show him his life. He reviewed his life with Jesus and he could see the disappointment in his face. Howard realized that his life had deteriorated. He saw heavy drinking and adultery. He cheated on his wife regularly. He asked Jesus many questions, and Jesus answered all of them. When he was done asking questions, he told Jesus that he was ready to go to heaven. Jesus said, "You're not going to heaven. You're going back to the world." When Howard came back, he was in the hospital bed. A surgeon was found, and he had surgery. After this experience, Howard became a Christian.